Order. Order. I call this meeting to order. This is a standing committee on Veterans Affairs, and I'm Melissa Sheehy-Richard, the MLA Enhanced West and chair of this committee. Today, we are going to hear from presenters regarding Skills Bridge Initiative, and I just want to remind everyone at this time for our devices to try to be on silent so that we're not interrupted, and that for in case of an emergency, I would ask that we use the Granville Street exit and walk up to Parade Square. I will begin by asking the committee members to introduce themselves by name and constituency, and I will begin with MLA Robichaud.
Ryan Robichaud from Clare.
Good afternoon, Chris Palmer, MLA for Kings West.
Nick Hilton for Yarmouth.
Hi, everybody. I'm Damien Stoyloff from Bedford South.
Ian Rankin, Timberley Prospect.
Good afternoon, Paul Wozni, Sackville Cobequid, and I use he, him pronouns.
I would also like to note the presence of Legislative Counsel Philip Grasse and Legislative Committee Clerk Tamer Nusabi. So today's topic, like I mentioned, is a exciting topic and an important one. It's Skills Bridge Initiative. I welcome all of the witnesses here today for taking time out and having be present for the committee. And at this point, I would ask you to, at first, I'll get everyone just to introduce themselves for the record, and then I will come back and welcome you to give your opening remarks, beginning with Mr. Giannou.
Morning. David Giannou with Helmets to Hardhats.
Dr. Cathcart.
Yeah, good morning, or good afternoon. Dr. Darryl Cathcart, Helmets to Hardhats.
Ms. Kennedy.
Kim Kennedy, Nova Scotia Apprenticeship Agency.
Ms. Chouinard.
Vanessa, Chouinard, Labor Skills and Immigration.
Mr. Soholt.
Good afternoon, bonjour. Trent Soholt with the Nova Scotia Construction Sector Council and chair of the board for the Nova Scotia Apprenticeship Agency.
And Ms. Casey.
Hi, everyone. Alison Casey, Executive Director of the Mainland Nova Scotia Building Trades.
Welcome. And I understand from the clerk that there's a few opening remarks. So at this point, so I don't lose pace in the witness chain, I'm going to open it up to Dr. Cathcart if you wanted to go first. Dr. Cathcart.
Great. Thank you, Chair, members of the committee. Thank you for the opportunity to speak with you today. At Helmets to Hardhats, we work at the intersection of military to civilian transition, identity, and purpose, along with economic impact. Together, these elements determine whether a releasing service member, a veteran, a reservist, a military family member can move from service into stable employment, have a community connection, and produce long-term contributions to the province of Nova Scotia. Military to civilian transition is often described too narrowly as a job search. In practice, it is a social, psychological, educational, and economic process. It involves changes in role, routine, income, peer networks, family structure, and personal identity. The challenge is rarely a lack of disciplined talent or work ethic. It is translating military experience into civilian systems that do not always understand military skills, culture, or the pace and uncertainty of a military release. This is where a structured pathway matters. The Helmets to Hardhats Skills Bridge project interprets the civilian labor market, connects candidates to unionized construction pathways, and works with the building trades unions and employers who recognize military-connected talent. Because we operate nationally, we bring tested relationships, labor market knowledge, and outreach capacity into a provincial context. That national reach allows us to produce practical and local outcomes. The second theme is identity and purpose. Military service is not only employment. It is a way of belonging, of contributing, of leading, and being accountable to others. When people leave uniform, the question is not only what job will I do next, but where do I belong now and how do I continue to serve in a way that matters? The unionized skilled trades offers a strong and robust answer to those questions. Construction work is team-based. It is mission-focused. It is skill-driven. It is tied to visible public outcomes. Veterans and military-connected individuals can see the bridge between the service, military service, and civilian contribution. They can continue working in environments where safety, standards, mentorship, and collective responsibility matter. The third and final theme is economic impact. Nova Scotia has a significant defense presence, a strong veteran population, and ongoing labor needs across construction, housing, infrastructure, energy, shipbuilding, and public works. Supporting Helmets to Hardhats there is therefore not only support for individual transition, it strengthens the labor force. It supports unionized employers. It helps address shortages in the skilled trades while retaining experienced workers in the provincial economy. Strategically, this is the public value. National outreach identifies and engages military-connected individuals wherever they are in their transition, and provincial implementation turns that outreach into apprenticeships, family stability, employment, and retains human capital here in Nova Scotia. In conclusion, our work is grounded in a very simple premise. Military-connected individuals do not need charity. They need informed systems. They need credible pathways and partners who understand both their experience and the labor market they are entering. With the continued support of the Government of Nova Scotia, Helmets to Hardhats can keep building that bridge. The result is a lasting positive impact for Nova Scotia veterans and families, the broader military community, the unionized construction trades, and employers across the province. Thank you for the opportunity to appear here today.
Mr. Giannou.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and members of the committee for having us here today. So I am Lieutenant Commander retired Dave Giannou, and I'd like to thank you again for inviting Helmets to Hardhats back to talk about the topic of veterans transitioning, specifically through the Helmets to Hardhats Skills Bridge Grant. In my role in the Atlantic region, I'll probably be discussing the impact that Helmets to Hardhats has had on our Nova Scotia veterans. As you know, Helmets to Hardhats is a national not-for-profit organization whose primary goal is to assist veterans transitioning into the meaningful second careers within the unionized construction trade industry. We have provided these services to veterans, serving reservists and their families, and cadets for over 14 years. And through our work with the Canadian building trade unions and their employers, we've referred thousands of veterans nationally into well-paying second careers as unionized tradespersons. In Nova Scotia, the number of referrals has more than doubled with the addition of a dedicated member to this area over the past 5 years. I have served my country for 36 years in the Royal Canadian Navy, retiring in 2018, and I joined Helmets to Hardhats in 2021. I did this to help develop stronger ties between the Canadian Armed Forces, the unions, employers, and other organizations in Atlantic Canada. The goal was to help create better pathways for our veterans, as my colleague has mentioned, into rewarding second careers, and for the serving reservists to develop a dual career, both in the trades and in the Canadian Armed Forces. And a quote I use often is from a serving reservist who is a tradesperson, and he says, as a serving reservist and tradesperson, I get to build what I protect, and I get to protect what I build. That saying has resonated with me for many years, and I like to share it because it's a strong statement about what can happen when we have both sides, the military and the trades, working together. The services we provide also extend to the direct family members of our veterans and serving members in recognition of their contribution to service. Most serving members come with a family. My wife has been with me now for 36 years. A very strong woman, obviously, to put up with me for that long. But our family members go through this with us, and we need to be able to support them as well. So at Helmets to Hardhats, our staff consists primarily of veterans. And as veterans, we understand the challenges faced by other veterans when transitioning from the armed forces into a civilian job. We also have union members on staff who bring a wealth of knowledge and experience, which strengthens our connections with the union locals and employers. Our National Executive Director, James Hogarth, is a steam fitter with 40-plus years of experience. He's also the Vice President of the Ontario Construction Secretariat and sits on many other similar committees. As I've spoken to this committee before, I will provide only a brief update on how Helmets to Hardhats works. A veteran who is contemplating release or is already released will register for an account on our website. They provide a resume, proof of military service, and then we'll reach out to that person and schedule a one-on-one interview and discuss options for their future careers. It speaks a lot to the veterans that they're hearing from veterans who have gone through the process. We will then reach out, okay. Our primary focus is discussions, in these discussions to provide a high-level education of the Canadian building trade unions and the process involved in conducting an apprenticeship in the 60-plus trades that we represent. We discuss the members' experience, qualifications, and intentions, and understanding that not all veterans want to continue in their current trade, and many cannot, as there isn't a civilian equivalent. Once we've determined what trades they are interested in, we work closely with the appropriate union locals to help ease the members' transition into that trade. I would like to highlight to this committee that Helmets to Hardhats does not charge our members for our services. Much of our funding comes from the unions and employers with targeted provincial grants and federal grants for specific programs such as Skills Bridge. In my experience, I've found the Canadian building trade unions and their employers to be very supportive of this program nationally, and I've personally felt overwhelmed by the level of support through our direct communication during my tenure. They respect and admire what veterans have done and signed up to do. And as our founder, Joe Maloney, has often heard saying, for what these fine, brave women and men do for us, offering them more options when coming home is just the right thing to do. So thank you once again for offering us the opportunity to provide you with information on this issue.
Ms. Kennedy.
Good afternoon. Thank you for extending the invitation for us to be here today to discuss the Skills Bridge initiative. It's an exciting time to be a skilled trades professional in our province. There is great demand for skilled trades professionals, especially in construction, shipbuilding, infrastructure, defense, and energy. And we are meeting this moment. We need a modern trades training system that is flexible, nimble, responsive, and industry-led. An accessible system that supports people through to certification in the fastest way possible while maintaining the quality and integrity of the Red Seal program. We need a system that's focused on recruiting, training, and retaining more skilled trades people faster, creating a more diverse workforce, and making it easier for people to connect to well-paying, sustainable careers right in their communities. All of this helps meet the demand. At the Nova Scotia Apprenticeship Agency, we're providing more supports to apprentices throughout their journey. That includes expanding access to technical training, using technological solutions to create efficiencies and better support our clients. Efforts are also underway to remove barriers for students and apprentices, helping them to successfully become certified in the skilled trades. The agency is also an active member of the Institute of Skilled Trades, working closely with NSCC and our industry partners to provide students and apprentices with the modern training and equipment to develop the skills employers need. For all of this work, collaboration and coordination with industry and organizations is key throughout the apprenticeship system. And that means finding meaningful partnerships with great organizations like Helmets to Hardhats, who help us recruit skilled trades professionals. For generations, Nova Scotians have contributed to Canada's defense and security. We know that military members are highly skilled and excellent candidates for the skilled trades when they are ready to transition to civilian careers. Working with Helmets to Hardhats presents us with a great opportunity. We get to help Canadian Armed Forces veterans, reservists, and their family members transition to construction careers. Skills Bridge offers training, coaching, and direct pathways into apprenticeship and employment opportunities across the province. We are grateful for our partners, a few of whom are here with us today, working together to ensure we're meeting the needs of Nova Scotia. I'm pleased to be here today to discuss this important program and the collaborative approach we have in this province for meeting the skilled workforce demand. Thank you, and I look forward to any questions you may have.
Ms. Chouinard.
Thank you. Thank you, Chair and members of the committee. I really appreciate the opportunity to speak with you today about the Skills Bridge Initiative and workforce development opportunities for veterans, reservists, military members, and their families. Nova Scotia has a long and proud military history. We are home to one of the country's largest military communities and are increasingly recognized as Canada's defense capital, and we are proud of it. That leadership is helping drive major growth in areas like defense, shipbuilding, and infrastructure. As a result, there's tremendous opportunities for skilled workers. Military members, veterans, reservists bring valuable experience, leadership, technical expertise, safety awareness, workplace discipline, and strong problem-solving skills. Those strengths align well with many high-demand careers across Nova Scotia, and that's where the Skills Bridge Initiative comes in, helping military-connected individuals transition into civilian careers in the skilled trades. The province is investing up to $480,000 over 3 years through the Nova Scotia Apprenticeship Agency. It will run until October 2028 and is expected to support up to 100 participants through training, coaching, peer support, and pathways into apprenticeship and employment. At the same time, the province is also helping military members transition more quickly into civilian skilled trades careers. The Nova Scotia Apprenticeship Agency recognized military equivalences in 13 Red Seal trades and 1 provincial trade. That means qualified military members can challenge Red Seal exams directly without repeating training they already have. NSCC also provides dedicated supports for military-connected learners. That includes prior learning recognition, customized military training, financial supports, and transition assistance. The province also recognized the important role military spouses and families play in successful transitions. We will continue our work to connect them with employment, training, and other support opportunities. In closing, I want to say how essential partnerships are to all of this work. Government works closely with the Canadian Armed Forces, employers, unions, training providers, and workforce partners. Together, we are helping build more military-connected individuals, help more military-connected individuals build meaningful second careers and long-term opportunities in Nova Scotia. We deeply, deeply appreciate the work of our partners and their commitment on this initiative and many others. We could not do it without them. Thank you, and I look forward to your questions.
Mr. Soholt.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Committee members, fellow witnesses. I would like to start by recognizing and thanking all those who have served and are in the process of serving. I mentioned earlier I'm with the Nova Scotia Construction Sector Council. We are industries and government's help desk in all things construction related, and we focus on supporting workforce development, collaboration, innovation, and investment both by industry and by government. I've also had the opportunity to connect with many of you around some of our youth programming, and pleasure to see so many familiar faces. The research we do and the community engagement we do really helps to give us an underpinning of what's happening within the sector. And as mentioned, the initiative, the Skills Bridge initiative, is really an opportunity for veterans, reservists, senior cadets, and family members to successfully transition into civilian careers with supports in the construction industry. And I'm learning more and more on a personal side how integrated the construction industry is with the armed forces. In the last week alone, 3 industry professionals have shared that they have served and continue to do so in that regard. One being a contractor, one being a training provider, and another being a union rep. So I know there are many more within the construction industry who participate. On the industry side, it's no surprise the construction industry is busy. You can tell by the cranes around the province. We have a record number breaking our skyline. And for context, between 2015 and 2025, the industrial, commercial, and institutional sector, so everything bigger than a house and not a road, has grown roughly 32%, or an average of 3% per year. Going forward, many of our projections see growth in the sector continuing between 5 and 12%, depending on the investments and the level of attraction to the province. So as you can imagine, there are many opportunities in all aspects of the construction industry, and especially with generational investment happening, we are seeing growth at an unprecedented rate. And to meet this demand, the sector is leaning heavily into recruitment, training, and retention for both trades and management occupations. On the management side, I'm pleased to share that we deliver industry-based training in a variety of areas: supervision, project management, and estimating, all of which were identified as partnership activities as part of the Skills Bridge Initiative and supported by the province through Labour, Skills and Immigration. And a big thanks to LSI for the ongoing support for these critical activities. On the trade side, we've been leveraging industry, government, and partnership relations to strengthen, coordinate, and accelerate direct entry, where an employer and an employee enter into that agreement to then bring apprentices on site. Through our industry and community engagement activities, we also have what's called an enhanced direct entry pathway, which is an opportunity through industry-based training mentioned earlier, through programs again funded through Labour, Skills and Immigration's construction industry supports, as well as other pre-apprenticeship programs. All amazing opportunities for connections to trades with work-ready skills, job placements, attachment to employment, and registration to the Nova Scotia Apprenticeship Agency, which is to deliver on a targeted workforce growth in the skilled trades and management occupations. These are all initiatives that we are very proud to have such a coordinated workforce development approach with our partners in the province through LSI, the Nova Scotia Apprenticeship Agency, with the building trades, with contractors and organizations like Helmets to Hardhats, supporting those who have served. And we are extremely appreciative of the investment by the province of Nova Scotia and the ongoing investments to enable us to rise to these opportunities. So thank you.
Ms. Casey.
Thank you, Madam Chair, committee members. So pleased to be here with all of our partners today. I represent 13 skilled trade unions across the province with close to 12,000 members in the industrial, commercial, institutional construction sector. We are proud partners in workforce development for the construction industry. SkillsBridge is an important investment in veterans, workers, and the future of our skilled trades. With the level of development in our province we're currently seeing, our unions need all the workers they can get, and most are recruiting. Those who have served our country merit strong support as they transition into civilian careers, and we know it's not easy. Our 13 building trades unions are very proud partners of Helmets to Hardhats. Many of our unions and employers have been supporting Helmets to Hardhats for the last decade, and I've worked really closely with Dave at the end of this table, and really proud of the work that we've done. And the building trades are all about putting people to work in really meaningful jobs, and we've been able to do that. So really proud. We know that veterans bring the qualities and experience that our employers need. As mentioned before, those interpersonal skills, leadership abilities, professionalism, dedication, all qualities that are a natural fit for our unions and the employers that we send our tradesmen and women to. And as unions, we don't just support this work, we help deliver it. As Trent mentioned, we have many different training pathways for individuals. We have 7 training centers across the province, multiple apprenticeship pathways, and a direct connection to over 300 employers. So we play an active role in helping veterans move from interest to training to those meaningful unionized careers. SkillsBridge strengthens those pathways and ensures veterans are supported every step of the way. We want this not to be just a job, but a career. This initiative reflects what's possible when government, industry, and training partners work together. And I've never seen the type of collaboration we have today with those that are at the table. So again, very pleased to be here, and thank you for your time.
Thank you, everyone. At this point, we're going to move into questioning by committee members to the witnesses. I just want to remind everybody, so Ledge TV picks you up, just wait until I acknowledge you and your light will turn red magically. You don't need to hit any buttons. In the first round of questions, we will begin with the NDP Caucus for 20 minutes, followed by the Liberals for 10 minutes, and the Progressive Conservative for 30 minutes. And also, if the time elapses, I'm not trying to be rude or difficult, I will have to say order so that we can keep the time on track. So I welcome MLA Wozni to begin.
Thank you, Chair. Under the Skills Bridge Initiative, the province is spending about $500,000 to support up to 100 veterans moving into construction sector jobs with the help of Helmets to Hardhats. Idiom Chouinard, can you outline what metrics are being used by Labor Skills and Immigration to measure success to date, to determine if this program will continue after the initial project end date of October of 2028?
Ms. Chouinard.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair, and thank you for the question. I can follow up with the exact details, but we do have a performance-based agreement with Helmets to Hardhats as a part of this exciting initiative. I think I highlighted in my remarks that we do have a very specific goal of 100 participants as a part of the agreement over 3 years. We also have targets around engagement activities, like the number of outreach sessions and things like that. So those are the nature of things that make up the agreement. I can tell you that, since the announcement in January of 2026, we already have, with the help of obviously Helmets to Hardhats and other partners, 31 people registered, 29 men and 2 women. And there's been 22 outreach events. So we're really happy with the progress we're seeing. But I really appreciate the question because this is really about getting outcomes that are required for the use of the public purse. And we think it's such a wonderful initiative and one of the many levers we're using towards our overall workforce development strategy.
Emily Wozni.
Thank you, Chair, and thank you, Associate Deputy. We'll look forward to sort of the further documentation on follow-up at a later time. There's no question this is important work and could potentially lay the foundation for something bigger, given the size of the veteran population in our province. In 2021, Nova Scotia was home to more than 18,000 working-aged veterans. I'm wondering, Associate Deputy Chouinard, does the department have a sense of how many of those veterans are currently working in the construction sector or potentially interested in working in the construction sector?
Ms. Chouinard.
Thank you for the question. That's actually a very, very interesting question. I don't have an answer to that, but it's definitely caused me to reflect and think of what type of work we can do with our partners to understand that a bit more in terms of the active of service members here in this province. As I know you all know, we are very proud to be Canada's defence capital. So we value the contributions of all of those service members, both to our nation's sovereignty and also to the communities that make up Nova Scotia. So I think that's actually a really, really great point you make, and we'll take that away. Thank you for that.
Emily Wozni.
Helmets to Hardhats has matched veterans across the country with career opportunities in construction for more than a decade. It's a wonderful program. To either Mr. Cathcart or Mr. Giannou, I'm wondering how we compare to the rest of the country. And specifically, I'm wondering if you can outline any unique gateways or barriers you observe when it comes to matching veterans with employers in Nova Scotia that might not exist elsewhere in Canada.
I see you both writing, so Dr. Cathcart.
Yes, thank you for that question. That's a very good question. And if I could, I'd like to link it back to your previous question. When we look in from an aggregate perspective and a national perspective, recent stats have shown that nearly 8,500 folks leave the Canadian Armed Forces annually. There's a study done in 2019 that reflected about 6% of those individuals go to the unionized construction sector. That's both union and non-union. Helmets to Hardhats will see roughly 400 a year out of those 8,500. If we look nationally, it is not a fair comparison. And I'll go back to Ms. Chouinard's statement twice. There's a defense hub here, so it'd be unfair to compare the actions, the initiative in Nova Scotia as compared to Manitoba or Saskatchewan or even British Columbia for that matter. So one thing we do pride ourselves on is trying to match workforce needs in each province. There is a need here in Nova Scotia from both a unionized construction perspective and from the military and veteran and reservist population. That is unique here in Nova Scotia. The final comment I would say is from a national perspective, and I'll address the barriers part of your question. We have not seen any systemic barriers to veteran employment, but Nova Scotia would rank third in terms of our referral, our outreach and referrals. And by that I mean the majority of clients, over 50% of Hamilton Hardhats clients, are referred to a union local in Ontario, followed by Alberta, followed by Nova Scotia. So through the Skills Bridge initiative, we are establishing that foundation to identify barriers, identify opportunities, work with our partners so we can, in the very near future, have those metrics for the economic impact of the province. Thank you.
Mr. Giannou, did you have something to add?
Not a lot
No.
to add. Dr.
Okay.
Cathcart has a very good handle on the national level and provincial. We are, I believe, we are unique in what we are doing as an organization to help the veterans and their families transition into construction trades. I have heard of very few other organizations who do that on a national level. There are some at a provincial level, but very few.
Thank you. Emily Wasney.
Thank you, Chair. Dr. Cathcart, just by way of follow-up, you mentioned Nova Scotia, from your organization's perspective, ranks third behind, I think it was Ontario and Alberta. Is that simply on like an economy of scale basis in terms of sheer population that we rank third? And I guess pound for pound, are we sort of hitting appropriately for our weight given the number of veterans that we have here proportionate to other, perhaps larger veteran populations elsewhere in Canada?
Dr. Cathcart.
Yeah, it's a great question. I wouldn't focus solely on the veteran population. You know the stats here in the HRM. They are certainly national, national in size. It has to be a confluence of events that come together. The need for unionized construction workers, the intakes that unions have, meaning how many folks go from referral to employment, and that available veteran population. The other thing I would note is whilst we are using the word veteran, I believe all of my colleagues have broken that down, and we specifically mentioned veteran, reservist, family member, and senior cadet. So I wouldn't want to talk about a pound for pound impact. We are certainly extremely grateful of the support we're getting from the government of Nova Scotia here. But that military footprint is different. The veteran population here in Nova Scotia differs from Alberta. The reservist population differs here from here in Nova Scotia to the GTA, as an example, which has a higher preponderance of reserves. So when we start to do the analysis on those factors, it is not a fair pound for pound analysis. Thank you.
Emily Wasney.
Thinking about this, I appreciate Dr. Cathcart's comments, sort of reminding the committee that when we talk about veterans, really we're kind of using that in an umbrella way, that we're folding in a number of folks who are, reservists may have never served actively but are sort of adjacent, and then folks that may be senior cadets and things like that. And not everybody leaving the military is leaving at the same age for the same reasons. I think there's often an assumption that these are, when we talk about veterans, these are people that have served the full sort of 20 years of their service and are graduating to sort of post-military retirement, knowing that not all veterans necessarily exit the service at that point in time in their lives. And that's an important flag for me. 2 years ago, the former leader of my party, Gary Burrell, asked the Department of Labor, Skills and Immigration if they would look at extending something called the More Opportunity for Skilled Trades and Occupations tax refund to veterans regardless of their age. And that was a question really anchored in this notion, really, that this was a tax credit that was aimed at people much earlier in their careers than many veterans might seek to access it. And perhaps of the way that it was structured, veterans that were later in their careers leaving the military may not be eligible for it. So we were told at the time that the Department of Labor, Skills and Immigration would take the question to the Department of Finance that responsible for the rebate, welcoming, noting that suggestions are welcome in terms of how we provide incentives to all people willing to participate in the skilled trades. But we haven't had an update from the department on this since that request was made. Obviously, we are aware at this point in time, most people entering the trades are doing so under the age of 30. On the other hand, a lot of veterans seeking to transition to the trades would do so after the age of 30 and perhaps may not be eligible for the credit. Just wondering if Associate Deputy Chouinard might have any update on that most tax refund and whether or not adjustments have been made to make sure that veterans transitioning to careers in the trades have that as a support as well.
Ms. Chouinard.
Thank you for the question. I can tell you that I know obviously you know about the MOST program and how that's meant to help support and incent individuals into the skilled trades as an approach to workforce development strategy. At this time, my understanding is it's maintained at the current age. And that said, though, there's a significant amount of supports that have been created to help support those in the skilled trades, regardless of age. In particular, things like for veterans in particular and for other military-connected individuals. Kim mentioned in her remarks about the fact, and I did as well, that we have equivalencies. And so when we have those equivalencies, the goal and the benefit of those equivalencies between what a career may be in the Canadian Armed Forces and what it is in our Red Seal sort of trades program or provincial trade enables people to go direct to write their exam. Right, so what that does is it removes any additional training requirements, any additional apprenticeship, and they get to go direct. And we waive the trade qualifier fee. So we have other supports like that that both help remove any barriers to entry into a second career, or it helps expedite that entrance into a second career. So that's just an example of something that we have. And we also have a lot of opportunities and supports for military-connected personnel through the Nova Scotia Community College, such as prior learning assessments and recognition of skills, as well as transition supports for military-connected individuals, tuition deferrals, and things like that. And the other part I want to mention is the importance of ensuring settlement and supports for family members, spouses, not just employment, but other supports as well. The province participates in a framework called Seamless Canada, which is meant to help support transition of military individuals and families. So helping to remove pressure points like childcare, transportation, healthcare, things like that that are really challenging. So while the MOST program may be focused at under 30, I think there's a whole bundle and package of supports that actually help support our military-connected individuals and current service members and veterans and all the remaining groups that participate and that serve our country.
Emily Wozni.
I'm sure other folks in the committee like me are glad to hear that, the department's turned its mind about how to support people perhaps at a different station in life to make a transition. But I take Mr. Giannou's comments and Dr. Cathcart's comments about, the enormity of what's involved in making a transition from military life to civilian life. And I think, I guess I would subscribe to the belief that more is better than same. And if there's a way that the MOST program could be adapted to be one more support, and a number of costs that you just focused on there, that have an impact on transition, like the ability to afford childcare and things like that. If this tax refund could be one more piece that better supports veterans making transition, that's a good thing. For veterans, it's a good thing for the skilled trades. It's a good thing for the province. We understood this was a sort of a recommendation or suggestion that would be taken away. But if there's further work to do on maybe how that could be a piece of it, we'd like to see that followed through on. But thank you for sort of the outline of other supports that are there. That's good to know as well. Build Force Canada's 2025 to 2034 forecast scenario for Nova Scotia shows that the province will need 15,000 new construction sector workers within the next 8 years to keep up with construction demand and expected retirements. With other provinces facing similar shortages, it's imperative that our province is a place where people want to be doing this important work. If they could pick anywhere in Canada, we want Nova Scotia to be at the top of that list. Dr. Cathcart or Mr. Giannou, I'm wondering if you could comment on what the government of Nova Scotia might be doing differently to make Nova Scotia the most attractive place in the country for veterans to pursue a sort of a second career working in the construction sector.
Dr. Cathcart.
Thanks for that question. It's a great question. And we're going to answer in two parts if you allow us to do so. So from a national perspective, I think the province attracts people naturally. It's an organic thing. People want to work and come to the province of Nova Scotia. It's a great place to work and live. But we're doing that. We have our national outreach advisors attend military transition seminars across the country. We know that the population, the military connected population, is a transient population. Well over 30% of the military moves annually. So I will finish on this and hand it over to Mr. Giannou. If you can just well imagine a young Nova Scotian joins the Royal Canadian Navy and ends up and spends the majority of their career on the West Coast in Victoria. All their roots, all their family are here in the province. We're out there in Esquimalt. In fact, today we've got folks in Edmonton attending military transition seminars. So we attract folks not only to the unionized skilled trades, all 61 skilled trades that we represent. We also try and attract people back to their home province. And with that, I'll hand it over to Mr. Giannou.
Mr. Giannou with 2 minutes.
Thank you, ma'am. Yes, Nova Scotia. I was born here. I grew up in Newfoundland, but I spent most of my career in Nova Scotia. Why would you not want to be here? It's a beautiful province. And as Dr. Cathcart mentioned, in the military, we are transient. I spent the first 2 years of my career in Ontario, 3 years out on the West Coast, fighting to get back to Nova Scotia. We recognize that. We talk to our veterans and talk to them about how and where they want to live and what's available out there. But we also recognize where the growth in industry is. And Nova Scotia right now is booming. It's a great opportunity for people to come back. And even if they don't want to come back, maybe it's people who want to come here. So we do advocate for it across the country. I was in St. John's a couple of weeks ago talking to the military members there. One gentleman was there because his wife was from Newfoundland. Maybe at some point they will move back to Nova Scotia as well. So yes, as Dr. Cathcart says, we do advertise this across the country. We tell the veterans where the jobs are, what the opportunities are, where the best opportunity for growth, because you have to complete your apprenticeship. You can't just come in and become a tradesperson. It takes time. If you go to a province that has a lot of growth like Nova Scotia does right now, there's a better opportunity to finish your apprenticeship on time, become a journey person or a Red Seal, and have a career and a future that fits you.
Thank you. MLA Wozni of 30 seconds or less.
Maybe I'll just float this question and then follow it up in the second round. When the federal government was compiling their national veteran employment strategy, They heard from many employers and human resource professionals who said they don't fully understand the nature and depth of various military occupations and their associated skills and responsibilities. Similarly, veterans often struggle to present their skills in a resume or during an interview in a way that civilian employers understand. I think I'm going to run out of time. We'll follow this up in the second round. Thank you.
Order. We move on to Liberal Caucus, MLA Rankin.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you all for all the work that you're doing. It's really important work, both in the trades and supporting families that are involved in military service. Maybe I'll try to continue with some of the point that was just starting there, because I did have a question around just the whole, how the ecosystem works when a veteran reaches out to a program like this, because we know that there's unique challenges that are present after retiring from the service and that transition into civilian life. So I'm wondering how the Skills Build initiative works, as the primary focus being employment transition, but beyond that traditional kind of guidance counseling for careers, what is the suite of services and how does that connect into government services as a whole? 'Cause we know the gaps are there. Yeah.
Mr. Giannou.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Yeah, so our primary focus is to find a second career for our veterans and their families. And it's careers that we're looking at. We're not looking for a part-time opportunity where they can go out, work for a couple of months, and then be looking for their next job. So we advocate on the behalf of the trades, the unions, to show the veterans what's available out there. And I say veterans, but as you know, we work with the serving reservists. I want to circle back just to MLA Wozni comment about active members. Canada is one of the few countries that has a definition of a veteran, and I'm sure you all know it. You know, you've signed up to serve your country, you've completed basic training, so you've made the commitment, and you've proved that you can fulfill the duties. That's important. So we want to recognize that and provide what services we can. When we meet with our veterans one-on-one, we talk about them, what they've brought to the game, what their point in life is. The average age of our veteran that we're dealing with is in the early 30s. So it's someone who's served their country for 10, maybe 15 years, ready to move on. If they're getting out at that stage, they're not walking out with a pension. When I joined, I was lucky. I signed a 20-year contract. At the end of that, I was going to walk out with an immediate annuity. That helped to bridge the gap. We don't have that anymore. Now I believe it's 25 years. I don't know the full details, so I won't speak to it. So we talk about what is available out there to help them. What's the supports are available to get them through the transition period from the time they leave the military until they're starting a new career. And as an apprentice, the apprenticeship is very similar to their military career. They're going to start and do their block training. They're going to go out and do on-the-job training. They're getting paid for it, which is great, on the job, but it's not the full wage. So they will struggle financially for the first few years. Once they become a tradesperson, they're making a very good salary and doing well, but it's that transition to get them to that stage. We advise them of that. We work with the unions. The unions will work with the members as well to give them financial planning, financial gauge. They provide a strong medical and dental benefit plan, pension plans. For me, it's a safe place for my brothers and sisters to land. They're walking out of an organization that gives them strong dental and medical plans, a good pension, into another who's going to do the same for them. And from what I have seen from the unions, they do take care of their people very well. They have brotherhoods and sisterhoods, and that speaks volumes to me, and I've seen the answers. I hope that answers your question, sir.
MLA Rankin.
Sure, thank you for that. And just to continue on this path, how does NSCC, I know that not specifically at the table, but obviously this is, you know, the place that most Nova Scotians start their training. It's regionally dispersed across the province. Because I know NSCC did have collaborative relationships with Helmets to Hardhats specifically, but specific to this program, and just the sheer numbers of people that could take advantage of some support. Maybe it's not the full-blown placement into the initiative, but you know, NSCC has expanded out to micro-credentialing, and maybe, you know, there is just a little bit more training in a certain area that something needs. And it's not I totally appreciate your comment that you're not just trying to find a part-time job, you're trying to find a full career. But trades increasingly are lucrative, and some people could have partial training. And 31, it seems like you're on the right track to support 100 people over 3 years. But given the scale of the need in this province for trades, and given the opportunity with so many veterans, ages 30 being the median age, mostly ready to work, how nimble is that support being provided, and what is NSCC's specific role in this?
Ms. Chouinard.
Thank you for the question. Thank you for the question. I will wait eventually for the red light to show up. I think that's really great to highlight the role of the NSCC. NSCC plays a number of roles when it comes to supporting military-connected personnel. Certainly, they work directly, actually, with the forces to be actually designated military learning institute and a connected college. So they actually play an active role in helping supporting the military do the actual training that they need. So there's a number of programs that they do, which is really a wonderful role for them to fulfill. As I mentioned, when we talk about transitioning and looking for other careers, they do play a lot of attention around that recognition of prior learning and recognition of prior sort of credentials, and how can that best map, how can that help expedite training opportunities through their programs and things like that, as well as offer a variety of counseling, peer support, tuition deferral, financial supports, and things like that as well. So that's really helpful. They do, again, I'll go back to the importance of families and support the Military Spousal Employment Network. They're members of that to help support that pathway, and they have dedicated military liaison and a lot of different awards and scholarships, kind of bursaries at the NSCC. And of course, the NSCC is one partner that helps support, obviously, training opportunities. And you talked about the scale of the need. I mean, the federal government has recently said that we're estimating about 100,000 new skilled trades workers needed for the country. If we just think about that for a minute, 100,000 new skilled trades workers by 2030. That is a mammoth task, and they've recently rolled out a big Build Canada, Canada Strong program, where they're investing an incredible amount of money in terms of direct supports to apprentices, $400 a week, up to $16,000 to support apprentices through, during their technical training, $10,000 per apprentice for an employer to help support that, certification bonuses to help make sure people, when they enter in the apprenticeship program, that they have a bonus at the end, labor mobility deductions, all sorts of things. So we're really thrilled about that, and we'll work really diligently at the Nova Scotia Apprenticeship Agency to make sure that we're complementing those programs. But on the training side, we have a tremendous number of initiatives underway in concert with industry, with NSCC, with the building trades unions, to come up with expedited training pathways, as well as just greater training capacity as well. Mr. Soholt mentioned the Enhanced Direct Entry program, so back to helping to connect individuals in mid-career transitions, whether it be military connected or otherwise. We have ability to provide wraparound support. So someone who may be in one particular part of their career journey and they want to shift into something far more perhaps what they would consider as lucrative, like the skilled trades, they're able to get income stabilization while they participate in a 16 to 17-week training program. They're getting the basics of safety training. They're getting the basics of that particular trade training. And then they're able to be connected with employment at the end, as long as they're successful for the training. So we're trying to come up with a lot of innovative ways in collaboration with training partners and post-secondary and our workforce partners to make sure we are all hands on deck, all tools on the table, no pun intended, but it's convenient, to make sure that we can train the number that we need here in Nova Scotia, so that our companies have the workers that they need, the projects can be filled with Nova Scotians, and we create generational opportunities for young people to enter the skilled trades and be trained in a way that works for them and in a way that's safe and secure so they can transition if that's their circumstance. One more thing on NSCC, sorry, I think the other important part to talk about is the technical training role they play. So we've talked a little bit about technical blocks when someone enters apprenticeship. And so that, of course, is when someone has to go back and do a specific set of training. So we've spent a lot of time working with NSCC to increase the training capacity around technical training. And it's up this year to almost 6,200 spaces for 26-27, which is an increase from last year, around 5,500. So all trains moving in the right direction for training providers in addition to NSCC.
Well, Emily Rankin, you have 10 seconds.
Well, thank you for that answer. I got a lot more here, but I'll wait for the next round.
I will now turn the mics over to MLA Palmer with the PC Caucus.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and it's great to see many of you again today. I've seen and met many of you at different events over the last few years. I've been very fortunate to have sat on this committee now since first being elected in 2021, and it never lost on me the amazing group work that many groups are making and working with our veterans and those who wear our uniform. So I thank you for being here. My constituency includes CFB Greenwood. So obviously a large veteran base around my area, and you know, I'm pleased that this initiative was launched. I was at the event in January, very pleased to be there as well for that. And so we know transitioning from military life into civilian life is challenging for sure, even with people who have technical and skills coming out already. So I guess my question would be, can you walk the committee through the supports that are available through the Skills Bridge initiative? And let's say I'm a veteran. I meet you at a transition event. Can you talk about logistically how we proceed, how that moves forward with that veteran as they want to pursue a career in the trades?
Mr. Giannou.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The transition process is complicated. A lot of our members are coming to us. They have been out for a while, or they're serving reservists. Some are getting ready to get out. So for each one, it's individual. The advantage is all of our people who are dealing with the veterans one-on-one have gone through that and understand the implications. They may be out for a couple of years. So what we do is we have a web-based system. Once we've met the members, and we don't just talk at the transition seminars. We have very little opportunities to speak there now. We set up booths and hope that people will come to us and talk to us about it. Our communication strategy is to get the message out. Once they've heard about our program, they typically register for an account. They will give us a resume, a proof of military service, and a pledge document talking about communication and connection. We want to make sure that they're staying connected to us and we're staying connected to them. Once we have all that, we will set an appointment with them and we will talk to them. At that point, it's about the individual, what their background is, what their skill sets are, what they're looking to do. As I said in my opening remarks, not all members want to get out and do the same job that they did for the last 10, 15, 20, 30 years in the military. A lot of the members are getting out in their early 30s. They have a full career ahead of them. So how can we help them to get into that? So we talk about the supports that are out there, the programs that we can tap into. The Nova Scotia Community Sector Council have some great programs that we work with, and Skills Bridge Initiative is part of that. But there's other programs out there. But yeah, a lot of it is about how they can manage to get into that. What does Veterans Affairs have to support them? That's a Veterans Affairs question, not mine. But there are other support agencies out there to support them. But yeah, it's a lot of individual one-on-one talking, spending time with them, talking them off the cliff, because most military members get out without understanding what they're bringing with them. And the three key things that they bring with them is the ability to listen, the ability to learn, and the ability to lead. So the employers are seeing that, the unions are seeing that. They love to bring them in and get them through that process as quickly as they can. I can give you many examples of members here, even in Nova Scotia, who have gone through the process very quickly and have raised into senior leadership positions because of their training and background through the military. Does that answer your question, sir?
Emily Palmer.
Thank you. And my questions are a little general, so if there are other people that would like to answer any of the questions, please feel free. So we know the construction industry continues to face significant workforce pressures. We know the labor challenges that are out there. The government's committed to finding solutions to the pressures. I can tell you from working with the minister, he is definitely committed to finding solutions to those pressures for sure. Could you explain, I know ADM Chouinard, you talked about what success would look like and the outcomes, but could you drill down a bit more on what success would look like for participating veterans and employers as we're building this trades economy?
Ms. Chouinard.
Thanks for the question. Yes, thank you. So we talked a little bit about the agreement itself, but when I was thinking about the last question you just asked, when I think about this program, this one, as well as many other workforce development programs, but we're here to talk about this one specifically today, it comes down to people. And every circumstance is unique. Every person's journey is going to be unique. Everybody's second career is going to be unique. I think about an individual in my life, a neighbor, and she is approaching, I think she's over 25 years in service. And you can, if you met her, you would say, oh, she's military, right? She lives it, she breathes it, she wears it. And she's approaching a retirement decision, and she's made the decision to retire. And we've discussed many times about, well, what's next for her? And Dave and I have talked about her before. And I can tell that she is apprehensive. She's nervous. She's a bit scared. And I've been trying to give some motivational, have some motivational conversations with her about you have so much to offer and also to acknowledge it's okay to be scared. It's okay to be fearful, but you have a lot to bring. And so for me, of course, I want to see her in a beautiful second career. I want to see her contributing to Nova Scotia's workforce challenge and the need that we have, and to contribute to the province and all of those important things that we're all here to talk about. But I want her to continue to feel like she belongs to a community, that she belongs in a new role in her life, and that she feels fulfilled as she has in her time in service. So honestly, I think the power of belonging, the power of community, and the power of feeling proud about a second career is something that this initiative will bring to a lot of people, and I hope that that's a pathway that she will find for herself as well. So that's how I'd best answer your question.
Emily Palmer.
So maybe I'll direct this question to Ms. Casey. You talked a little bit about being so happy to be part of this panel with your partners and the spirit of collaboration. And so many times it seems in government and working with so many different things, there's so many different silos happening. But can you talk about the how important the collaboration is to making sure we get the best outcomes? And from your experience, do you feel there's been really good collaboration happening with different partners?
Ms. Casey.
Thanks very much for the question. And I've been with the organization for 13 years, and I've noticed industry-wide in the last 5 that there's been more collaboration with industry partners. And in the last couple of years, the government partners that have come to the table to partner with us to ask for our feedback and opinion on programs and services that are being offered. There is so much alignment now. When we talk about enhanced direct entry programs, those 8 to 16-week programs, that is the bread and butter for people to get into our industry now. Because our 300 contractors that I mentioned earlier, they don't have time to wait 2 years for a program to pump people out. The amount of development that we've seen in the last 5 or 6 years, we've heard from our contractors that we just can't wait. And so, working with Trent and his team, and with enhanced direct entry, it's all led by industry. So what's the demand, right? With the building trades, we only train for what's needed, right? We want to make sure that all the people that are going through our programs have jobs at the end of it. Because our business managers for our unions, they have a really tricky job, right? To have enough people on the bench, but not too many, right? So when we talk about working with government and all of the public procurement that goes on, along with the private investment, our ability to plan to ensure that we have the people that they need, that's where Trent and I, we really collaborate heavily on that. And this government, I can't say enough in terms of providing us with not only financial investments for the first time in history for the building trades, but also the human element piece that Vanessa spoke to as well.
Emily Palmer.
I was just going to ask if there's any other of our guests that would like to maybe chime in on that.
Ms. Chouinard.
Yes, thank you, and thank you, Alison. Couldn't agree more. Someone asked me once, well, why is government getting involved? Like, shouldn't this just be employers training people? Well, no. First of all, government holds a lot of levers that are important. We play a role as convener. We play sometimes a role as funder. But honestly, we firmly believe that this is an all hands on deck. This is industry. This is education, post-secondary. This is training providers. This would be sector councils. This would be employers direct. This is all levels of government. It's economic development organizations. Everybody needs to come together with the oar that they carry to get us to the side where we need to get. And if it wasn't for our partners, Building Trades, Sector Council, Helmets to Hardhats, of course, our own Nova Scotia Apprenticeship Agency, and they have a ton of partners, as well as community partners that we haven't mentioned yet today. People like Women Unlimited, people like the Africadian Empowerment Academy, like the Prep Academy. It's an all-hands-on-deck effort, and to us, it's absolutely critical that everybody's around the table together to lean in together, because we are certainly stronger as a collective, and we will not get the outcomes for Nova Scotia if we do not all collaborate as we have been. And we are very, very pleased and deeply appreciative of the time and the ideas and the solutions that come forward from all of these players and partners at the table. Thank you.
Emily Palmer.
If I was in church, I'd want to say amen right now. Just before I pass it on to my colleague, I would just like maybe give a shout out to Construction Sector Council. My community has the mobile construction experience in Berwick this week. And so any of the MLAs that would like to see hands-on young people being exposed to the trades, that's a fantastic initiative. And, I know that's, again, reflective of a lot of the partnership that's put forward by. So a little shout out to the exposure that we're giving young people, middle-aged students to the trade. So, again, all hands on deck. Thank you.
Emily Stoloff.
Thank you. Thank you all for being here today. It was a pleasure to meet everybody this morning. You've covered a bit of a few of my questions, but I just wanted to ask for more specificity. In the first question, I'd like to pose for everybody, but mainly to my member here to the left. The Skills Training Initiative involves a lot, as we know, from career coaching to mentorship, apprenticeship, opportunities, placement opportunities, and many other things. Can you detail, I think you've elaborated on some of them, how each support is given to veterans, and how do you help them mainly overcome barriers to entering? I would assume that one of the major obstacles is barriers in entering the workforce again for another career. What sort of things would you do there to work with that?
Mr. Giannou.
Thank you, Madam Chair. That is a very good and in-depth question. How many hours do we have? As I've said, each case is individual. We do have experience. I served in the Navy for 36 years. I had young members who got out after 1 or 2 years. I had members that served their full career and got out. So we understand what they're going through. What we do is educate them. We spend time with them. We tell them about what's out there. We work with a lot of different organizations and agencies out there that do provide these supports. We don't provide them all ourselves. Why reinvent the wheel when there's someone out there who has that wheel working? We will connect with them, we'll collaborate with them so that we can get those overcome the barriers that are there. But there are some that are very difficult, and the biggest one that I see is finance. When a member gets out of the military, on very rare occasions, I understand they can draw unemployment or employment insurance. I'm not sure what it's called now. I am older. So they have to get out and find something right away. They need to find an income because most of them are married, have kids, have mortgages, have car payments. How do we do that? Working with the business local, with the local unions, they understand that as well. Part of my job is to educate them, to let them understand what they're dealing with and what's coming in their way. So they work to try and get the members on a job site as quickly and safely as possible. Give them some training, get them out there so that they're bringing money in and can meet those financial needs. From the social and community side of things, socially, as I said, the unions are very similar to the military. They treat their people the same way. The new members are welcomed in, given the information, given a warm welcome in most cases to see what a second career looks like. But the community side is interesting because I hear a lot of veterans saying, listen, I've done my 20 years, 25 years, I want to get out now, I want to become a carpenter because I want to give back to my community. They want to stay in the community they're in. They want to have those skills so they can earn the money, but they also want to give back to the community itself. You know, where can I volunteer with some of these skills and give back? You know, the community has supported me and my family for many years because the member's not always there. I spent a lot of time away from home, and a lot of members of my community helped my family while I wasn't around. So being able to give back is very high in a lot of veterans' standards as well. Again, overcoming the barriers, there's a lot of organizations out there. We connect with a lot of them to find out what's available and give them that information. Most of the veterans I talk to, the answer when we give them some information like that is, I didn't know about that. You know? So yes, we give them a lot of information to work with. Sir.
Emily Stolov.
Thank you very much for that answer. I'll go to you again with the next question, only because, you know, it's open for everybody, obviously, but you mentioned earlier that you have many, many examples of success stories, and I know the committee would love to hear 1 or 2 of them that kind of pop to mind of a success story of a veteran.
Mr. Giannou. If you don't mind, actually, I missed Mr. Solo. Did you want to add an answer to that last one? My apologies for that. So.
No worries. Thank you, Madam Chair. Just to add to some of the comments that have happened, I do want to, first of all, appreciate the shout out from MLA Palmer. The mobile construction experience is having a blast down in Berwick right now and getting youth engaged. We spend a lot of time as a sector council trying to educate awareness and opportunities in the construction industry. And I know we're focused heavily on trades, and that's certainly a big portion of our industry. 78% of our industry is trades focused, 22% is management focused. But to the comment about how we're engaging, it's really to Mr. Giannou's comment, by the person, giving them awareness of what the opportunities might be. An individual who's coming out of service may say, I want to get into employment right away. We can go in a direct entry opportunity. And there are a lot of employers who do look at veterans, reservists, and what have you with skill sets that they don't typically see in other individuals. And a direct entry opportunity is very, very quick. We have a team of industry community engagement coordinators who make that connection very, very quickly for that employment opportunity. If they don't want to pursue a trade and they want to look at management occupations, this program in particular helps to support individuals pursuing management roles as well. I mentioned earlier project management, estimating, as well as a variety of other different roles. And sometimes we'll get those phone calls or those inquiries to the office, those industry community engagement coordinators will say, hey, I've got an opportunity for you with contractor X doing this type of work, which may be in more of the management space. And we're seeing some pretty interesting, successes there because, again, that service, that awareness, that education, that life experience is helping to transition very, very quickly into a new role. So very proud of the relationships that we have with Helmets Hardhats. We'll have phone calls back and forth about, hey, do you know where if there's an opportunity coming up in Greenwood, or is there something coming up in that area that we might be able to connect with an employer? What are those opportunities going to look like? And then if they do decide to go to a pre-apprenticeship mentioned earlier on this side of the table around the community college, if they do want to go and do a 1 or 2 year program, they're educated then better on what that might look like. And one of the things that we're talking about very closely with Helmets to Hardhats as part of this program is to expand that awareness then for individuals who have served. So the Trades Exhibition Hall, as an example, in Halifax, just out in Beachville, Reggie Lake Business Park, is a facility that we're able to help individuals see not only 39 construction trades, but a suite of management occupation opportunities, and they meet with industry professionals, and then they become better informed of what is appealing to me as a career transitioner and where do I want to go. And that's something through this program we're really hoping to help kind of dispel some myths and clarify what those opportunities might be so that somebody, when they're making that decision of what is my next step in my career, it's informed, and there are supports then that go around that. And through the Construction Industry Supports Program, if there's an absolute need driven by an employer, say in the insulator trade or in a Boilermaker trade or something that maybe isn't as well known, we also do that awareness to make sure that folks know that they have an opportunity to pursue that as well. And that's where, the folks with Helmets to Hardhats are really helping to promote those opportunities as they come up, funded again through Labor Skills and Immigration and the Apprenticeship Agency. So there's a whole lot of really amazing opportunities depending on what the individual wants and the match with where industry is looking to fill that gap.
Ms. Chouinard.
And just one thing to add, when we talk about promotion, I think we would miss an opportunity to not promote the salary potential for these trades. We take an example of, a lot of young people and parents, they know electrician, they know plumber, but they probably don't know Boilermaker. They probably don't know the pipe trades. They probably don't know gas fitter. So if we take Boilermaker as an example, just median wage example, $45 an hour, annualizing close to $100,000 a year. This is not just a job. This is a very lucrative career. So make no mistake, I am sure once those details are shared in promotion, I want in the 16, 17-week training program, right? Because and if we don't share more in opportunities like this about those details, how can we expect people to make these kind of choices, right? So anyway, want to thank the opportunity to share that information as well.
Okay, I will go back to Emily Stolov, and if you wanted to ask the original question, because I think we were tidying up the end of your first question.
Thank you very much. I'd like to pass on to my colleagues to make sure everybody speaks here.
Okay, Emily Hilton.
Thank you, and thank you all for being here today, and thank you for your service, David. Much appreciated. I always start my comments kind of by reflecting on what you guys shared in your opening statements, and the first thing that was really obvious was the length of those statements and the fact that everyone spoke, how collaborative that was. That we don't always get that at committee, so it's really clear that the work that you're doing and the way you're working together is being successful. So I just want to give kudos to all of you for that. And, some of the other things like when you mentioned that veteran-to-veteran contact, I've heard that on multiple occasions from talking to Legion members and things and people within my community. And through those conversations, there is no doubt that that is the best avenue for communication. It's not... I just remember talking to one veteran and, being able to share those stories with each other. There's just something about that as a layperson I'll just never understand, and I have to respect that, and I may never understand that, and that's okay. But thank you for being there for everyone within our community. Someone else said that Nova Scotia is a good place to work and live, and I couldn't agree more. And thank you for doing there. Just a quick question. A quick question about the initiative itself. Maybe someone could tell me kind of where that started. Where is it based on another program? Who came up with the idea? Someone mentioned Seamless Canada. If you could even share a little bit on that, just for my understanding.
Dr. Cathcart.
So perhaps we'll go with the origin of the idea, and then I'll hand it over to ADM Chouinard or Ms. Kennedy. Where the idea started, it's born out of our understanding of the disproportionate impact that veterans, reservists, and family members have on any economy, not to mention the economy of Nova Scotia. It's imperative for us, Helmester Hardhats, to have excellent working relationships, with the government, with our partners at the table, to produce those effects. We labeled a lot of things here today, and we even took time to dissect those labels: veteran, reservist, family member, and cadets. But in aggregate, we're looking at an asset-based population that is often overlooked. We're looking at, and I'm certainly not picking on any MLA who asked great questions today, but there's a legal definition of veteran in Canada which is unlike any other. So we often think of veterans from an emotive aspect, a little more senior, a little more, gray around my beard. I too served in the military. I rarely talk about that. So we have to understand that need, and at Helmester Hardhats, we've identified that need, and we've identified it, pretty well. Where that collaboration comes from, is working with governments, with partners across the table, in order to take those ideas and see how we can do the analysis for region specific impacts. So any arrangement or collaborative relationship we have across the country it is born out of what is required for that population. The last thing I'd say before I pass it on is we have to remember that the needs are different across the country, not only from a unionized construction perspective, from how things are funded, but also from a military perspective. I alluded to that a little bit earlier. Here in Nova Scotia, you have you have a bit of a confluence of that population. You have veterans, you have cadets, you have reservists, and you have obviously serving members. So when we do that analysis, that's where the ideas come from a very collaborative perspective to ensure that we're addressing the gaps that are presented today. Thank you.
Ms. Chouinard.
Yeah, thank you for the question. Building on, I was happy to hear the history as well and the origins of this program. I would say from an origins side of things for us here at Labor Skills and Immigration and here in Nova Scotia, for us, we've really been focusing on how do we increase workforce participation across perhaps underrepresented groups, but also what is the untapped potential out there, because the needs are so deep, as we've talked about many times today. And as I mentioned, we are, there was a point in time when it was, well, you go to the NSCC and you take a couple of years program and then you start to work and things like that. But now we are firing on all fronts. That is one wonderful pathway that's still available to people. But of course, we've talked about direct entry, where we connect individuals with employers and then they begin their apprenticeship journey through the apprenticeship agency. We've talked about enhanced direct entry programs that folks like the Sector Council and Building Trades do. There's other building trades, and I know certainly invite Alison to speak about other training programs that Building Trades has, but they have other mainstream programs as well that they support at BTAC, really incredible and impressive things. So for us, it was, where can we get the talent? And given the leadership, the technical expertise, the problem-solving skills, the workplace discipline, just the ability and the proof points from Helmets to Hardhats and others, as Trent mentioned, we see a lot of military connected individuals in careers in the construction trades and the other sector trades, designated trades areas as well. This was just such a glaring opportunity. So we are really thrilled to be able to partner on this specific initiative. As for Seamless Canada, I haven't forgotten about your question. That is a federal, provincial, territorial program that Nova Scotia has a leadership role in, and really the focus is on reducing barriers and supporting families as they have to transition across the country. And maybe in some cases here, they're moving to Nova Scotia for this opportunity, and sometimes, unfortunately, they have to leave us and go elsewhere. But really, it's about reducing barriers and helping support all fronts that they have to worry about, aside from their direct job or posting, to help support their children, families, education, all those transportation, things like that. So it's a really important part of the whole story and how we help support our military families.
Ms. Casey, I would turn it over to you, but there's 10 seconds left, so we're gonna save that, put a pin in it for our second round. I believe the time for our second round is 30 minutes, so okay, we're going to calculate 12 minutes and 30 seconds for the PC caucus and 7 minutes and 30 for the opposition caucus. That's a 6:30. Emily Wasney?
Shouldn't it be 50-50? I think your math might need some adjustment, Madam Chair. If there's 18 minutes, it should be 9 for the government caucus and 9 split between the NDP and the Liberals. That's less.
We do have some committee business, so we're calculating that for 25.
Okay. Fair enough. It sounded like it was 6.5 between the two of us. Apologies. I guess I'm on. We've seen elsewhere in the country, like in Manitoba, that I guess I want to preface this remark. I take to heart comments from witnesses that Nova Scotia is a place that for many people that may get their start here, coming back to Nova Scotia after a career going hither and yon, while in uniform, has an enormous degree of attraction. And that's a major plus in terms of bringing home folks to Nova Scotia. And of course we have great hip hop here in this province as well. But above and beyond that, I think it matters that the province turns its mind to being the best place in the country to work. And there are certain respects where the construction industry in Nova Scotia ranks amongst the worst in the country in terms of a setting in which to find and maintain employment. Leaders in the country, in terms of implementing things like community benefit agreements, where major projects and sort of in larger sectors like the construction sector, requiring projects to contain an element of community benefits where a certain amount of the labor supplied to a project has to include labor from apprentices. Policy can play a remarkable role in creating and sustaining opportunity for folks like veterans transitioning to careers in the trades. Manitoba has made that a feature of its recent policy under Premier Giannou in his government. Ms. Casey and Mr. Soholt, I'm wondering if you can talk about the impact that government can play in creating opportunity, particularly for historically underutilized or excluded groups like equity-seeking groups as well. How might community benefit agreements play a greater role in creating the opportunities like we're discussing here today?
Emily Shore. Now I'm going to call you an Emily. This is going to be a crazy meeting. Sorry about that.
No worries. Thank you, Madam Chair. And I love the levity. It's always fun. That's a great question, and I really appreciate that question. I was at a conference not too long ago, at the end of April. Nova Scotia and British Columbia were identified as the two nation leaders in community benefit activity, and we were actually celebrated as doing things differently in many ways across the country, and have been looked at from other jurisdictions, including the GTA, Ontario, and some of the other provinces, and Manitoba being one. I'm wondering how we've integrated community benefit agreements into some of our construction projects. The best example to give is the Cape Breton infrastructure projects, which had requirements as part of procurement for 25% of hours worked, craft hours worked, to be performed by registered apprentices, and these are all, sort of keywords as part of that contract language, as well as a 10% representative of underrepresented groups or equity-deserving groups. In doing that in Cape Breton, what we saw were some phenomenal champions for that work, both on the contractor side, the building trade side, the community side, and while the targets were, understandably low for getting it integrated and what have you, there's so much opportunity to see that grow across the whole province and into every publicly procured project. It is with that sort of evidence and that intent that the industry has actually been a big champion of community benefit agreements as well as part of procurement. There's certainly more opportunity to do more, to systemize it more. And in the appreciation of the topic today, it's how do we provide opportunities so that a brand new apprentice from a community group, a veteran, a reservist or family member could actually see themselves starting and completing their apprenticeship journey on that project, or with a sequence of projects that might see them move from one project to another. Huge opportunity, but just do want to make a note that at a national conference, Nova Scotia was singled out as one of the top 2 in the country of actually doing some amazing work in this space.
Emily Wozni.
Thank you very much for that. And just to piggyback on that, Associate Deputy Chouinard, given the impact of community benefit agreements like the ones Mr. Soholt mentioned in Cape Breton, has the department looked at whether or not these kinds of agreements should be standard practice for all major infrastructure sites that government funds? I'm wondering if you can share the last time the department looked at this matter.
Ms. Chouinard.
Yes, thank you for the question. I would say Deputy Grant and I and Minister Young joined the department at the same time in January of 25. And soon after, when we came to meet Trent and others, we talked actually a lot about that experience in Cape Breton. And we have been reflecting on what worked really well and the benefits of that approach through procurement and the community benefit agreements, and have been working with folks like Build Nova Scotia and Procurement and Public Works to talk about that initiative and strategies like that. So I would say there are active discussions underway on those types of strategies. I think we've talked a bit about today about the need for increased workforce participation by underrepresented groups in the sector in order to meet workforce needs. So I think as you highlighted, there are policy strategies that are going to be critical to help us. Similarly, there's been a big movement on the policy front from a labor mobility perspective, and we've heard Prime Minister Carney talk a lot about that and a call to action on provinces and territories to help to remove some barriers.
Sorry. Your time for questioning has elapsed. I will move over to MLA Rankin with 6 minutes, 30 seconds.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Even less than last time. But I did catch you say, Associate Deputy, that you are confident the province will meet the need. I think I'm paraphrasing, I don't want to quote you, but the need is humongous. So we have roughly 8,000 plus construction workers that will retire in the next 8 years. That's public information to start. Then as we learned today, the ICI sector is growing by 32%. Then we have the billions of dollars being invested in military spend, a lot of it around housing development and the need for more trades. So I'd like to know how the province, we're talking about 100 people, 100 seats, great program, but a drop in the bucket for what we will require in the next 8 years to keep up with that demand. So I was surprised that there's so much confidence. I know you mentioned a myriad of programs. Some of them have been around, some of them new initiatives. I'm not as interested in the different programs. I'm interested in how the government is going to track this and actually meet the need and have the confidence that we are meeting the need because it's an economic imperative. Because I don't think that that's enough. I think we need to do a lot more of what Trent's working on with the mobile units in the middle school. I think that every high school at this point should have a skilled trade center so that the younger ages have access. Like, we're lucky at Bayview High, we have a trade school there. We've since grown into a cooking division. They go to France and win awards. So we need to get to the younger demographic and quickly to maximize this opportunity. And the military sector, the families involved, the participation rates, all that stuff. So we have 8 years to reach probably over 10,000 attachments to this sector. And how are we going to get there? And how is the government tracking that success year over year?
ADM Chouinard.
You gave me a long answer. I gave you a long question.
Listen, I welcome it. I will exactly. No, thank you for the question. As you've noted, big demand, and I don't even think we have 8 years. Actually, there may be 8. There's a lot of work to be done. And, thankfully, the province got a jump on this in 2023 with the investment of $100 million in the skilled trades. Thankfully, in terms of key targets from that, at that time, a goal was 5,000 new apprentices in 3 years. That would be, by this time, October 2026. And we've already exceeded that at 5,500. We're surpassing our year-over-year journey person attachment. So we're seeing really great results from the investment so far. But I think the problem has just gotten bigger, even since 2023, with all the investment. So I think there's workforce participation, but there's also about retention. And retention does mean we have to make sure we have the right fit for individuals entering the trades, entering the right programs, the right occupations. And so, of course, you would all be familiar, I think, with our $25 million investment into Institute of Skilled Trades at the NSCC. And that's critical to make sure students are graduating workforce ready on modern equipment. So that's really, really critical, as well as a $10 million investment. And Trent mentioned the name of it earlier, the construction sector supports approach, where we do things like the Enhanced Direct Entry Initiative. And to your very point on youth, so he mentioned the Trades Exhibition Hall in Beachville. We've talked about the mobile construction experience. We're building a second Trades Exhibition Center in Cape Breton as a part of that initiative. And a number of other youth, I think you're bang on. We have the O2 program, high skills major, and 32 skilled trade centers. I know lots more work to be done, but a tremendous number of centers across schools across the province. And also programs like Building Futures for Youth, where young people get to take a summer. They do basic training, safety training. They get to do placements and work placements and things like that. So there's a tremendous amount of work. Of course, our skilled trades camps are huge. In fact, it's a little bit like, I think, the Hunger Games on trying to get in there, because they're such high interest with those camps. And what a great way for kids to get exposed to a number of programs. But in terms of how we're doing our work, we're coordinated like never before. In fact, the Labor, Skills and Immigration, I think, a long time administered a great number of programs. We're stepping in a little bit differently now, given the mammoth size of the task ahead, to coordinate with, as I've talked about before, industry, government, training providers, economic development, and our Department of Growth and Development, Invest Nova Scotia, to make sure there's a very direct pipeline on when projects kind of are coming to the province. We get that from our industry partners as well as our economic development partners. And we have a workforce action table that represents at Labor, Skills and Immigration, hosted by us, that represents all the key levers that we have, which would be things like, obviously, apprenticeship and skilled trades, our Nova Scotia Works and our other employment Nova Scotia programming, and other supports for industry. We have, obviously, immigration as a key lever. We have, obviously, employer engagement. Labor mobility is a key one, as well as our safety folks and our post-secondary. So it really has to be an all hands on deck. And as we track it, so we are tracking the needs and trying to solve for those exact needs. And We are in those stages of building that infrastructure to be able to meet the demand. And how we'll measure success is, we need to keep seeing those cranes. We need to keep seeing all those projects actually land and get delivered on time when they need to. And we are incredibly committed to doing so. In fact, earlier today we were just meeting with someone, a defense lead, to talk a little bit more about the defense-related projects, the billions of dollars that are coming to Nova Scotia in defense spending and infrastructure build. So I can promise you everybody is running, like I said, 7.0 on the treadmill to really make sure we can we meet the workforce needs. So we are very confident and committed. Thank you.
Okay. MLA Rankin with 15 seconds.
Okay, well, we missed the Ivany report, 68% worker attachment in 2024. I believe we're around 63%. Correct me if I'm wrong. That is one of many economic targets that have not been hit by that previous report. I would just encourage the government to start to look at targets for investment in this province.
Now we'll turn it over to the PC Caucus and MLA Holton.
Thank you. Thank you again. And I'm just going to pick up where I left off with a few questions, and thank you for your service as well. The only question actually I want, and then I'll pass it over to my colleague, MLA from Clare, is to ask, we're talking about defence now, what role do skilled trades play in Nova Scotia's defence strategy, and how do you see kind of this group interacting in that process?
Ms. Schwinn. Okay. Dr. Cathcart.
I would suggest that the lion's share of the value of the answer will come from ADM Chouinard. But what we offer is, the retention aspect. What we offer is knowing we directly contribute to national security. That can't be lost on anybody, right? Veterans are a dual-use citizen. They have roots in your community from tip to tail of Nova Scotia, and they're directly contributing to the national security of the country. When we look after veterans, the cost of a failed transition is frankly insurmountable. Again, we are contributing to national security because veterans and family members have a place to go once they leave uniformed service. So whilst not directly a recipient of the defense dollars, it's prudent for us to note our role in all of those, the human capital aspect of those defense dollars. Thank you.
Ms. Chouinard.
Yes, thank you. The defense strategy, there's a lot of money coming, right? We talk about the CFB Halifax, the dockyard, Satacona. We talk about so much happening at Greenwood. Someone mentioned it earlier today. The river-class destroyers, Halifax Gate Logistics, that doesn't even talk about the submarines and what will come on the Coast Guard. I know that's still being, scoped out. So there's a tremendous amount. And when we think about those projects, there's a construction phase and there's an operation and maintenance phase. I know I'm really oversimplifying, but we have to think about it kind of in those two frames. And if we think about it, the construction side, it's a given. Skilled trades are at the crux of making sure everything that needs to be built actually gets built. And when we think about then operating, think of the repair, the maintenance on ships, on infrastructure, on aircraft facilities, and all those things to support industrial operations. That all comes back to the skilled trades. So parents out there, please take note. Lots of job and opportunities and career opportunities, most importantly, for your children as they're making these decisions now in the month of June. So as we continue to celebrate and strengthen our position as the defense capital of Canada, it's very clear that it all comes down to the skilled trades and the role that they're going to play in all things modernizing, building, and increasing our sovereign capability here in Nova Scotia.
Emily Robichaud.
Thank you, Chair. We've heard that there's a skilled trade shortage across the country. So, on your opinion, are things improving, and is this program helping the rebuilding part? And out of my own curiosity, what trades are the most in demand right now?
Ms. Chouinard.
Thank you very much. Yes, definitely. Shortages. As I talked about, we began an investment of $100 million over 3 years in 2023. And I think, as I mentioned, the challenges is I've even gotten greater, but we're making really excellent progress. As I said, we've already surpassed our targets from that original investment, and we've added over 5,500 new apprentices and over 1,000 journey people per year, which is critical because we want to see individuals not just enter the apprenticeship system, but we want to see them complete, right? We need journey people, seasoned, skilled people to help support all the projects underway. We have now over almost 8,700 active apprentices involved in the system, and over 2,700 employers. Those are wonderful numbers, and we continue to grow those even more. We want those even higher, but we're tremendously thrilled with the progress so far. And in terms of what's in demand, certainly everything from, I have a little list here because I couldn't remember it all, but welders, pipe trades, carpenters, heavy equipment trades, electricians, millwrights, machinists, and automotive service techs. All those types of trades are in demand. So I almost want to say like everything. So anything anyone knows about or we could tell them about, there's an opportunity to be had. I'll certainly invite Kim or Trent or Alison to highlight anything else you'd like to add there.
Yeah, I can add
Mr. Soholt.
Thank you, Madam Chair and ADM Chouinard. The comment that there's an opportunity for anybody in construction right now is so true. If somebody is really passionate about pursuing a certain occupation, there's a place in our industry for that individual. In terms of which trades are in demand, it depends on geography. It does depend on projects. It depends on the nature of skills or skill alignment that the individual would have. We have some employers that are looking specifically for a level 3 electrician, for example, and maybe not looking for a level 1 at this particular time. We have employers who are looking for new entrants into roofing. We have employers that are looking for, whatever that specific need is for that particular project. So this is where it gets a little more complicated, just saying we have a mass labor shortage. We have skills alignment needs. We have planning that we need to do. And we have to do it with intention to best serve Nova Scotians in the right way as well, so that we're not misleading somebody of opportunities that may not be in their backyard, and the realities of the industry being mobile, often being done in sometimes rural parts of the province, which may not have a significant population to deliver on that project. And so one of our roles at the Sector Council is trying to make sure that we're talking about the right opportunities in the right locations for the right individuals, and making sure that they're set up for success, because that's what's going to ultimately benefit us as a province with all the investment that's getting ready to happen in Nova Scotia.
Emily Robichaud.
Thank you, Chair, and thank you for those answers. Our government has made significant investments in our veterans, and that includes a big investment in my area with the Clare Veterans Centre. So how do your organizations work with the veteran centres, the legions across the province?
Mr. Soholt.
Thank you for that question. I don't know that I am the best one to have the answer for that. Our industry very much looks at the opportunities to build as a client sort of service provider relationship, with opportunities of getting community members attached to projects and being able to recruit. I don't know if anybody else from the witnesses might be able to add.
Dr. Cathcart.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for that question. This is the third time it's come up today, and I would suggest that you start to think of Halmstar Hardhats as a bit of a hub and spoke model when it comes to support. We attend any military connected event that's happening across the province and nationally. So we're well informed to do that hub and spoke peer support, referrals as informal referrals as is required, from unique bespoke initiatives to large national organizations. We're well aware of all of these programs. We do not offer services ourselves, but we're well positioned to help our clients navigate the complexities of the veteran landscape in Canada. The other thing I would, and the final thing I would say before thanking you for that question, is that we have to be mindful that often our clients fall within the gaps of several systems. We don't have one clear client who's navigating one system, and by that I mean federal versus provincial. We've spoken about the reservists. We know that they're taken care of under a provincial umbrella, as an example. Veterans are transiting that. Organizations like Service Canada are helping family members do that transition. Halmstar Hardhats is invited to all of these conversations nationally in order to bolster our knowledge to provide that hub and spoke support for our clients. Thank you.
MLA Robichaud.
Thank you, Chair. What feedback have you been getting from the employers who are hiring veterans through programs like Helmets to Hardhats?
Dr. Giannou, or Mr. Giannou.
Thank you, ma'am. We are getting amazing feedback from the employers. I get calls from them regularly on how well our members are doing. We'll send them, well, the unions will connect them with an employer, and I just hear how well they do, how quickly they progress, how quickly they take over a program and lead it. The story I was going to tell from Mr. Stolov is about a young man who joined the laborers union 3 years ago. His last job, they put him in charge of 4 workers they had there who were having difficulty getting along and working through. At the end of that project, the company went back to the laborers and said, I want this guy back with his 4-man team for the next project. We do well. We're trained to lead. We're trained to take care of our people. So I hope that answers your question. And yours, sir.
Emily Robichaud with a minute and 30. Emily Hilton, you're looking my way.
No,
Or
That was my last question.
okay.
Yeah.
Committee member have a question.
Yeah.
Emily Hilton.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Given this program is set for 3 years, is there talk about what it will look like in the future? Because if we're talking about expanding to, needing 100,000 jobs in the near future, what do we see as in the final, 45 seconds? What does the future look like for this program?
Dr. Cathcart.
If you don't mind, I'll take 20 seconds. We want to build such a strong foundation that we're welcome back, that we're asked to come back and help out the Nova Scotia government and the population of Nova Scotia to do that. So we're setting the foundations today, and hopefully that partnership continues for some time to come.
Well, thank you everyone for being here and getting through such an important and inspiring, actually, conversation today. I would ask, I welcome you to give some closing remarks before you leave, but I would ask if you could be mindful of time and keep them brief. We have a couple committee items that we need to take care of. And who would like to begin? Ms. Chouinard.
Yes, thank you, Chair, and thank you to members of the committee. We appreciated the opportunity to speak with you today. This is a really important time to reflect, hear ideas, hear questions, hold us accountable. We are incredibly dedicated to the work that we're doing and proud to be here to talk about this workforce strategy that supports military members, veterans, reservists, and their families as they transition into civilian careers. Skills Bridge, military trade equivalencies, apprenticeship supports, and NSCC training pathways are all things that help connect individuals with meaningful second careers and long-term opportunities. We will continue to collaborate with industry, Canadian Armed Forces, employers, unions, training providers, and workforce partners as workforce demand continues to grow, and we are here to meet the moment. Together, we will support more Nova Scotians in building the skills, experience, and careers needed for the opportunities ahead. And a big thank you for the service members and their families for all they do to protect our sovereignty in this great nation. So thank you very much for today's discussion.
Did anyone else want to address the committee? Mr. Giannou.
And I'll make this very, very quick. First of all, I'd like to thank you all for your time today. Spending the time and the interest in veterans and what we can do for them and taking care of our people is very important to me personally and to our organization. So thank you for your time, and I look forward to our next meeting with you and hopefully move this needle down a bit more. Thank you.
Well, thank you. You are able and free to leave the committee while we do our committee business. And again, I thank you for taking the time to come together so that we can ask some questions. We will take a 2-minute recess. Order. We'll call the committee back to order. We do have a couple items of committee business that you'll see on the agenda. The first one I wanted to talk to you about was the letter that we all received a copy of from Mr. Dr. Blanchard, thanking us for being a witness at a committee and asking to appear again. Usually the direction of the committee is to discuss it at a potential next topic setting, but if anyone had any other comments with regard to Mr. Blanchard's letter, then we will leave it for then. And then
we should respond. Yeah. I've already informed him of the process and how it works.
yes. And then secondly, we did receive a piece of correspondence from our clerk, which was his draft, our draft of the letter that we had asked him to send to the Honourable Minister McKnight at Veterans Affairs Canada. And the idea was that we would review it and then tell him whether, or respond whether or not we were okay with him to send. And apparently I'm the only one that did. So is it the desire of the committee? I think there's a copy of it in front of you. Is there any changes or amendments? And do we have permission to forward that on the committee's behalf? Good?
Do you not have a copy?
No, I said I've read through it, so I'm okay.
Yeah. Do you have anything to add? Well, we're happy with the letter. As
Okay. Okay, perfect. The clerk will send that off as requested by the committee at the last meeting. And that is it for committee business, but I will remind the committee that it is July and August already, so we don't meet during those 2 months, and our next meeting date will be September 15th, 2026, and the topic and witnesses are to be determined to see how the clerk makes out with his witness asks. So meeting is adjourned.
So the next meeting is a topic?
Just working it out with the witnesses.
Yeah.